The Palace of Versailles, located in Versailles near Paris, France, is one of the most famous and historically significant landmarks in the world. Originally a hunting lodge built by Louis XIII in 1623, it was transformed and expanded by his son Louis XIV into a grand royal residence. The palace became the symbol of the absolute monarchy of the XIII regime. Grand design. The Palace of Versailles is renowned for its opulent architecture and expansive gardens. The transformation began in 1661 under the direction of architect Louis XIV, landscape designer André Lenotre, and painter-decorator Charles Lebrun. The palace's layout, centered around the king's bedchamber, reflects the power and influence of Louis XIV, the Sun King. The Hall of Mirrors, with its 357 mirrors, is one of the most iconic rooms in the palace, where the Treaty of Versailles was signed in 1919 to end World War I. Gardens of Versailles. The Gardens of Versailles are just as famous as the palace itself. Spanning nearly 2,000 acres, the gardens were designed by André Lenotre and feature elaborate fountains, statues, and geometrically arranged flower beds. The Grand Canal, an extensive waterway, adds to the grandeur of the estate. The gardens were a symbol of Louis XIV's control over nature and his kingdom, seat of power. From 1682, when Louis XIV moved the court and government to Versailles, until the French Revolution in 1789, the palace was the center of political power in France. It was here that the king and his ministers made decisions that affected the entire kingdom. The palace was also a center for art and culture, with the royal court setting trends in fashion, music, and the arts. French Revolution. The Palace of Versailles played a crucial role during the French Revolution. On October 5th to 6th, 1789, the Women's March on Versailles forced King Louis XVI and Queen Marie Antoinette to return to Paris, marking the decline of royal authority. After the revolution, the palace ceased to be a royal residence and was eventually turned into a museum dedicated to all the glories of France by Louis Philippe in 1837. Tourism and legacy. Today, the Palace of Versailles is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of the most visited tourist attractions in France. It represents the height of French classical architecture and is a symbol of the monarchy's grandeur and eventual downfall. The palace's influence extends beyond France, inspiring the design of royal palaces across Europe. Cultural influence. The Palace of Versailles has been depicted in various forms of art, literature, and film. Its grandeur and the historical events that took place there continue to capture the imagination of people around the world. The palace is often associated with the excesses of the French monarchy, which contributed to the revolutionary fervor that swept through France in the late 18th century. Summary. The Palace of Versailles is a masterpiece of French Baroque architecture and a symbol of the absolute monarchy of the Ancien regime. Its history, from being the seat of power for the French kings to becoming a symbol of the monarchy's downfall, makes it one of the most significant cultural and historical landmarks in the world.